What is going on, you guys? Today I have another super quick episode for you. This one is from Jedediah Bila Live, and she's a part of Patrick Bet David's Valuetainment group. So they both have good podcasts on their own. And she's interviewing Zuby Music, another good YouTuber to check out. The episode is called These Red Flags in Women Should Never Be Ignored. Let's hop into it.
As a man, who is a good quality woman? What are the signs that showcase so that you know a woman is there for the right reasons, is someone that deserves your time, your energy, your money, your protection, etc.?
Okay, it's a landmine question, right?
There you go.
The first thing I'm going to say, I'm going to caveat this. I don't like caveats, but I'm going to caveat this by saying that I'm not yet engaged or married, so I don't want to be like speaking with so much authority on this because I'm not there yet.
That's so good. Like, because some guys speak with such a level of conviction, and it's like they don't have like the result. Right, so I'm glad that he prefaced it with that first.
But in terms of, so we're talking like green flags, basically.
Yeah, I want to do green and red.
Yeah. This is funny. I don't think it's that hard. I think it's much harder to be like a quality man than to be a quality woman.
Okay. How so?
I think that because femininity is more passive and masculinity is more active. Mm-hmm. So as a woman, as a girl, as a woman, you are born with more innate value in many ways, innate social and cultural value than a boy or a man is. And as a woman, you don't have to hunt, right? If a woman never needs to approach a man in her life from a sexual or a dating perspective at all. Like as a man, you have to do everything. If you're a man and you don't take action, nothing good happens in your life. Mm-hmm. As a woman, you don't have to take action for good things to come to you. You attract more. Women attract. Men have to hunt and pursue and go on these adventures and all.
Yeah, I mean, and I mean, I guess a good point either way is both sides should be, especially like working on their fitness. Like that's an easy example, right? But like, there's a threshold that happens, and some of you may have seen this before, right? But like, younger women, especially like early 20s to mid 20s, right? It's easy for them to like get dates, especially if they're beautiful, right? Like get dates, get invited out to this thing, to that thing, guys messaging them. I don't know how often this happens, but like guys like to use this one a lot, like getting invited out to parties with celebrities or yachts or whatever, right? Either way, right? You can actually see it if you look at like the nightlife scene. I'm not really big on nightlife myself, but like if you know about it, you know that a lot of times women get in for free and then guys had to pay, right? So that should tell you enough right there. It's like, so the guy has to work to become the guy, and the woman, like there's the threshold where like the beauty and attraction starts to fade a little bit, and the guy's hitting his peak. Like he's starting to do really well if he's been working on himself. So they cross this path, and it puts you in like a really interesting situation, right? Because the guy is like around like 30 or so, right? And he's starting to be able to he's starting to be able to live the dating life that he's wanted since he was like a teenager or early 20s. And it's funny seeing that situation, right? Because like a girl has to kind of like maintain her beauty, although a guy is just entering his peak, right? So they come at this crossroads, and some guys might have experienced this before, but like in around that time, you start to see women sometimes pressure guys into relationships or like starting a family faster because they're realizing their biological timeline. So this is kind of an interesting point that he's making.
Lots of different ways in order to gain value and resources. I'm not just talking money. I'm talking about social standing. Mm-hmm. I'm talking, of money and resources, respect, all of that stuff. And with those things, these are the things that make you an attractive man. Mm-hmm. So a lot of women will complain that a lot of men see them as sex objects, and fair enough, maybe some do. You could also say that women see men as success objects, mm-hmm. right? So if you're a man who's not successful in any department, you're not attractive, mm-hmm. right? You've got to have certain things going for you, and to have that, you typically have to work for them. Even if you're a handsome dude, even if you're like an objectively good-looking dude, if you just go out there and you like hang around, like no one's going to approach you. Mm-hmm. Like a hot girl's going to get approached, right?
Mm-hmm.
A hot dude can't just go to a bar. I'm just going to stand and look pretty, and like girls are going to come up and like it's not going to have me offer to buy him drinks or whatever, right? A beautiful woman can literally stand there, and like
I've heard that before, like guys like being like, oh, I'm just gonna work on myself. I'm gonna work on my finances and my fitness, and then girls are just gonna approach me. It's just like it. I hate to break it to you if you do think that, because it's like a super feminine mindset, right? Because again, you're expecting them to become masculine and lead in that situation and approach you, and the reality is, it's really highly likely that it's not going to happen. And if it does, that shows that she's more masculine than you are in that situation. She approached you, and you should be wondering too, why is she so confident approaching a guy, like a man, right? Like, how often does she do this, right? Because it's different for a guy doing it because he has to actually have built that up. But for a woman, it's like, how often does she do this? It's kind of weird. Like, why is she so confident in doing this? Like, just approaching a random guy, like a stranger. And I would just recommend that you take accountability, pick up your balls, and just approach her. Right? Like, that's just the raw reality of it.
dudes are there, like she's there, like flicking them, like getting not
Got a
you.
fly swatter.
Yeah, exactly, right. Her whole life, every single day. Yeah. This is not the reality of a man. Even if you're a so-called high value man, that's not the reality.
Yeah.
You still have to. Women will never understand truly the amount of rejection that men go through. Men just rejection constantly in so many different ways. And I think that, I don't, just like there's things as a man that you're never gonna, there's things that women go through that I'm never.
I mean, even in like business and other areas, like it's just like we get super used to rejection. So like, if you're scared of rejection, that's one of the first issues you need to tackle is get past that mental block, right? Because rejection should no longer scare you. You should be unfazed by it. Like it's like exposure therapy with someone who has like a phobia, like of spiders or snakes or something. It's like you get them used to the thing by slowly getting them to interact with it more. Or like maybe a crazy example would be like someone afraid of going outside, right? So first they look outside through the window, then they open the door, and then they just take one step out, but they don't go anywhere. 2 steps, 3 steps. Next day, they're all the way down to the mailbox, right? Like you see what I'm saying? Like you get exposure therapy to rejection, and it doesn't bother you anymore because it's just really a part of life. Like school teaches you that failure is bad, and it's not. It's like the opposite, right? You fail a test. Oh no, Jimmy. But failure is actually what leads you to success faster.
We're going to really be able to understand. I can try my best to empathize and be compassionate, but I'm never going to get it. I've never had a period. I'm never going to. Never going to get pregnant. It's not happening, even if I identify as a woman.
That's not what the leftists tell me. They told me you could get a period, and
Yeah.
I heard that, what's his name? Dylan Mulvaney or whatever.
Oh, gosh.
I heard that he gets period, and it hurts.
Yeah, it's not happening. And then on the flip side, there's certain things that men go through, and it's just our reality, and other men can empathize with it, but a woman's never going to like totally get that. So, sorry, I feel like I'm going a little bit off base.
No, that's all good information too, though. I like it.
But to answer the question, leading on from this, I think that a lot of what I think the fight for, say in like the dating market or what people call the sexual marketplace is a bit of a weird term. I think men recognize that you have to like really up your game and level up, right? Women need to up their game and level up too, but in a different way. Oftentimes it's more maintaining and preserving the innate natural value that you actually have been blessed with as a woman and not destroying and corrupting that, right? Not allowing all these external forces and certain social behaviors and all this stuff to turn you from a, what would have been a good woman into like this toxic, awful, modern, crazy person, right? I'd say literally, if as a woman, like, okay, I didn't even come here to give advice, but literally, like, maximize your looks, be in good physical shape. Here, I'm going to tell you something I've never said out loud. I'm going to tell you something I've never said out loud. And I think that most men know this is true, even though some wouldn't. I think if you think about this for 3 seconds, you'll realize it's true. Most young women who are not fat are at least somewhat physically attractive. Most men find most women at least quite attractive if they haven't ballooned up to a weight where they're no longer doing so. That's actually a great example of what I said about maintaining the value, like not doing things and engaging in certain things that then prevent you from being attractive. It's more like just maintain. But okay, let me actually answer the question now because my brain is jumping around all over the place. Green flags, genuine kindness, care for appearance, genuine values and morals and ethics, like actually having, I think that's attractive very, in both genders, like actually having some real principles and beliefs and standing on things. Honestly, being sweet, not being annoying. And just having for long term, exhibiting.
And I think just to tag on to the not being annoying thing, right? Like, of course, like as a man, sometimes you're like the rock for her, like waves of emotions, right? There's a difference between that and then her giving you like an absolute headache or being combative, right? Because you don't want that, because that disrupts the peace, rather than her being supportive so you can build together, right? That's a completely different thing, right? So like, I guess there's levels to it.
Here, I'll give another bit of free game here.
Wait, I want to just ask you this
go
before.
ahead.
Let's say that all those characteristics. Say you meet that girl,
Yeah.
and she works at McDonald's.
Doesn't matter.
Every guy who sits in this chair tells me that.
And I'll tell you
Every
what,
one of them.
the more successful and competent the man, the less he's gonna.
Yeah, I mean, usually we don't really care like what they're doing for work. I mean, we might like that she's driven or ambitious, but we don't care that she's like a CEO or a manager of this, right? Or whatever career accolades. Oh, I'm a lawyer, top at the firm, whatever, right? Like we really don't care. Like we like, I guess we appreciate ambition, but we don't want you to be masculine, right? Because like I guess what some guys have noticed is like she becomes masculine in the role of her position or her work, and then she brings it home and is almost like trying to out compete or like be more masculine than the husband or the boyfriend. And like that's not like, of course you need to be a masculine dude and lead, right? So you need to be more masculine than her, but not in a competitive way. Like that should not be happening. She should be wanting to be feminine, right? So like maybe if she is in that situation, at least being able to turn it off when she comes home.
I hear this from my.
But one last thing to that is I think a lot of guys, if we're honest, would prefer to be in a situation where we can afford to. Let me change the wording around this. We're doing so well financially that our wife or our choice in long-term partner has the choice to work if she wants to, but we would prefer that she stays home and we can support her, right? She doesn't have to work. She can also take care of the kids, and so we can have a really amazing, fulfilling family that way. I think that would be most guys' like really honest answer if you dig down to the core.
I had Justin here.
Yeah.
I had every guy that sits in the chair,
Yeah.
Rolo,
Yeah.
all the same thing.
Yeah.
But I ask it because I think it's an important distinction, because women would care.
Yeah.
If you presented a guy
course.
that had all those things, or a guy and he worked at McDonald's, they'd be like, I'm out.
And by the way, that makes complete sense.
Right.
If you understand basic biology and what men are looking for in women and what women are looking for in men, and you get off all the men and women are the same nonsense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and the woman wants security at the end of the day, like deep down in her core, biologically or subconsciously, whatever you want to say, right? Like she wants to see who she wants the most can provide a level of security, right? Because that basically indicates that he'll be able to provide for her and their offspring, right? Just simple biological stuff.
Obvious why these things are not equal. And people can complain about double standards. Double standards exist between the genders and so on in multiple ways. But they exist for a reason, not just because people are mean or because society is mean. And then, okay, I think those are all like what I'd call girlfriend qualities. And then I think on a deeper level, if a man is in this position in life and this is what and he's looking for marriage or at least a long-term relationship, that's when you look at wife and mother qualities, which is a different realm. And I think a lot of women don't understand that that's a different realm.
What does that entail for you?
This entails me looking at a woman and thinking, number one, is this someone who we are so compatible? This is where values really matter, the actual value alignment. I would say, I can be, you can physically attracted to, any woman who's physically attractive, but in order to have a serious relationship, our values and our visions and our worldviews are going to need to align to some degree. It doesn't need to be 100%, but they need to, there's fundamental things where if we strongly disagree on us, just like, this is not going to work, right? Like we have to have some of the same core morality. And then
one big one would be like, can you agree on how you would want the kids to be raised? Like some of your values, ethics behind that, right? Because if you don't agree on stuff like that, like it's, once you get to that point where you even have that discussion, which shouldn't happen soon, right? It should happen later, but reaching that point where you do have the discussion, if you agree or if you disagree at such like a fundamental level, like you can't come to an agreement, right? It's just like you should probably cut it there, right? Even if you have a sunk cost fallacy feeling like, oh, I invested so much time in this relationship, it probably would have been better for you to find some of that stuff out sooner, right? In the earlier stages of dating, just somewhere like not too early, but not too late, right? To where you got to that point. It's like, oh, it's been years, and now I know that she doesn't want to raise kids the same way, or she doesn't even want to have kids, and I want kids, right? Like there's like these basic little things, or like the way she thinks. Something he mentioned, I don't know if he mentioned this earlier, but like I don't know if he's gonna say it, but what they consume too, right? Like, does she spend all day on Instagram and TikTok, or looking for validation, or watching like kind of nonsense, or does she consume quality things where she's learning, growing, making herself better, more healthy, like good podcasts, good books, right? Rather than watching the Kardashians, does she actually do something productive, right? You know what I'm saying? Like that. Basically, it's like you are what you eat, but mentally.
You also have to be able to respect the differences that do exist and to be able to talk about them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, like I said, I mean, if a man is looking for a woman to like really take seriously to the point of considering having a family with and committing with for life, then that's really you're looking at, okay, is this woman going to be would she be a good mother?
Okay.
Would she be a good mother? And that's a whole different like a whole different ball game. Because the level of commitment there, then you're thinking differently, because you're not just thinking about yourself anymore.
Right.
You're not just thinking, okay, am I physically attracted to her and do we get on well? There's a lot of women you can be physically attracted to and you get on well.
Yeah.
So those are all women you can date, but all those women you can date doesn't mean that that's the person you should have a whole family with. That's when you need to like think a lot deeper and really, kind of go hard on certain things.
So I want to close with this. Then we're gonna get.
When some guys will say like, being able to spot whether they're like if you just date them, or if they would be like better short term or better long term, depending on what you're looking for, right? Of course, because you might just want to avoid the short term altogether, or maybe vice versa. But basically, again, like I think a lot of guys at their core want to have like a great long term relationship and family if they drop the ego, right? But yeah, just being able to notice, like, are they fit for something longer term, like to keep things going.
The final, do we have super chats in there? Okay, good. So we'll get to those at the end. So one last question on this, because what I find is what I'm trying to get to the guys on. Guys are sometimes drawn in by the hot girl. You're very visual. Beauty is a powerful thing in a woman. I always say that. So you're drawn in, right? So you got that hot girl. What are the red flags that you could see in a hot girl that would tell you she may be a 9.8 out of 10? She looks amazing, but
Talk to her.
resist.
Talk to her.
But what would those, like, is promiscuity, if you get a sense that she's promiscuous, is it she's got,
that's one.
her phone, she won't let you look at it? Or is it like, what are the things that they can in their life say, oh, she did this, this is something's going on here?
Man, it's hard for me to articulate, because I think it's
Is
obvious
it just a
to me.
vibe? Oh,
It's obvious to me. It's like,
I don't think it's so obvious to everybody, though. I think that female beauty can kind of like
people.
hypnotizes,
Yeah.
and then she's asking to go out, do girls' night out half naked, and she wants you to stay home, and they're like, well,
these are such obvious red flags, right? Like
but
it's not even,
obvious. It's obvious to you. I'm telling you.
Okay, let me think. Okay, if I need to think explicitly, like
Put them on the spot.
drug use, heavy drinking, promiscuity, uses a ton of profanity, has tons of male friends and orbiters.
Male friend.
Says I'm a boss babe. Says things like situationship, sneaky link, hot girl summer. By the way, hot girl summer is basically like code word for hoe phase. There's a bunch of weird stuff like that, but let's keep going.
Is freaking doing OnlyFans or putting her booty on Instagram or whatever, like all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Just has bad morals, like just doesn't have supports the wrong stuff, is a raging hardcore feminist, super pro-abortion or whatever. Like all these things, like they're not even red flags. They're like
I think
alarms.
I struggle with this. I got to be honest. I think if a girl is like not that hot,
they're better.
it's like your head is on your shoulders, and then a hot girl is there, and it's just like I don't.
Well, yeah, I mean it's unfortunate, right? Because a lot of guys can't get to the point where they're not blinded by beauty, like they become naive again when they're like extra attracted to them, right? Which is crazy, because some of the best advice you can get to this is if you can get to the point where you treat the one that you think is very attractive physically just like all the other ones, right? So it's not like, oh, like you get like anxious or like, I hope I'm gonna say the right things, nervous, whatever, right? Like you're literally interacting with her the same way you would interact with someone that you're not as attracted to, right? Like, because I have heard guys say like, oh well, and I don't really like doing this, right? Like guys will put like numbers on it, like a scale, but they'll be like, oh, I can do fine when I'm talking to like a 5 or a 6, but when I'm talking to like a 8, 9, or 10, I just can't do it, man. Like I just something happens in me, something changes, and I can't make it happen, and that's why, right? It's because they're making a distinction in their head when they could basically be doing the same thing, and that's assuming in the first place that you know how to navigate dating, because a lot of guys don't even know how to navigate dating, and they're very naive around it anyway. So that's like another skill set to learn.
Even know is, does the oxygen leave the brain? Like what goes on there? So
Okay, I'll tell you a good one. I'll tell you a good. Let me give guys a little game here, maybe if they're looking for their future wifey. And I'm saying this, I'm not married yet, man. But I think there's asking questions about certain outside situations and seeing what their take on it is.
That's good.
Right. So if there's say girls like celebrity gossip, right? Say there's a situation that's happened in a celebrity relationship, right? A divorce, infidelity, whatever.
Giselle.
Ask what their thoughts on it are.
Oh, that's good. It will inform their world, like their view of how maybe they manage their relationship.
Find a celebrity couple where the man has cheated on the woman, or the woman has cheated on the man, or the woman's divorced and taken them. Like just bring up the topic and see what her take on it is.
Maybe I'll do a little love connection.
See what her take on it is. If she's siding with the woman who just
and it would be better if she doesn't even know who that celebrity is, right? Or like the Kardashians or whatever, right? But that's a good point, right? Like even in concept, right? Like she doesn't need to know who they are, but it's just like there's this situation that happened with this couple or these two that were dating. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, what do you think about that?
The dude and screwed him over or whatever.
Bad sign.
Get out of there, bro. Like, oh no, really? Like, get out of there. Yeah, literally, get out of there. If she's like, if she's rationalizing or excusing stuff that's clearly like wrong or bad decisions or whatever in these situations, then that's a big one actually.
If you want to watch the full episode, you're going to click right here.
Awesome, guys. Well, obviously, a good podcast. Definitely interesting conversations going on there. Check out Jedediah Bila live. Valuetainment with Patrick but David, and Zuby was the guest that she was interviewing. I hope you liked it. I hope you got some value out of this episode. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. You got this, bro.